10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the rocket pool community. My name is Wack. Today is February 20th, and we're going to get started here with some negativity, sadly, reality, really, I guess. This here is, an instance of the RPL bot, and it's showing a sell, and the sell is showing that the price has gone down below 0.01 ratio, down to 0.00998 ratio. And this was a new low post Atlas. Of course, in the market cycle low was a ratio of 0.0075. So it's still, 25% lower from where we are right now. But when you compare that to the heights of where we were at Atlas, things haven't been good. And now the USD price, of course, is around that $30 mark, but we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But of course, that's because ETH has been going up so well that the ratio has been hit quite hard. And actually the ratio went down below that as well. So here you can see on the ping channel that it went down all the way to 0.007979. So let's actually just call up the ratio right now to see what it's looking like while I'm recording. Yeah, 977. So that is, this right here is a cycle low for RPL token. And of course, when the price gets low like this, there was a few days there where there was very little liquidity, but then we got this, as you can see, we're in a channel of liquidity between 0.009 on the ratio and 0.01 on the ratio. This was added yesterday by Marceau, and it looks like we're already kind of eating into this channel of liquidity. It was that, once we fell off that cliff at around 0.015, I want to say somewhere around there, 115, there was a lot of fear around about what's going to happen. And once we got, below that area a little bit more, then we really were in a very low liquidity zone. And even now, to get from 0.01 all the way up to 0.012, I think is just a couple of hundred ETH worth of buying. And you'll be in that higher liquidity zone higher up, but right now the price is really low, and of course with low price comes low sentiment, and the sentiment has been really bad in trading and other communities as well. Even in ETH finance, people have been dunking on RPL quite a lot these last few days, and sadly, people aren't realizing that there's catalysts coming up, you know what I mean? We don't have catalysts right now. That's happening in the next week or 2 weeks or next month even. We'll hopefully find out next week that Houston will be in around 4 or 5 weeks time, potentially, a month after ETH Denver. That's what just my idea is. But Houston isn't really an upgrade that's going to drive the Rocket Pool, the protocol, right? Or have much of an impact on price, probably. The main thing that we're going to be looking for there will be node set as that first catalyst, and that is potentially 3, maybe even up to 6 months away in the worst case scenario, but a minimum of 3 months away pretty much. So that's something that we might have to endure this for a little bit longer. I know that's really horrible to say, but with catalysts come narrative, with narratives comes outside attention, and with outside attention, you get a lot more positivity coming into the space. And sadly, right now, there's very little positivity coming into the space from outside. We're going to talk about that a little bit as well. But there is some positivity yesterday in trading. Thomas G, who of course most of you know, is I think the third biggest RPL holder. That's after Patricio, who is the biggest holder, and then the team, Wallet, I guess, is the second biggest holder, I guess. And then Thomas has over 1 million RPL. So Thomas said, someone needs to come and buy some RPL, and then, Bossy was like, anyone, please fix the ratio. And David was like, I've been pondering a buy. Zemo was like, is this the signal to buy? Basically, is this the bottom signal? And Dougie said, what if we all agree to pretend the ratio is 0.02? But Thomas was kind of like, David was like, in Wax's name we pray. Yeah. Thomas was actually in trading for a while, just kind of talking back and forth about the price basically, and like just joking about how we can get the price to go up. And Thomas like had this great idea. He said, what if we get everyone to remove all the liquidity at the same time, then we like do a tiny little buy, get the price up to 0.02, and then put all the liquidity back. So people are just like, yeah, Thomas, that's why he's a giga brain. Yeah, he said it's a foolproof plan. And then Maso pops in and just like puts this little gif of like someone scribbling notes of like with ideas. It's like from Dragon's Den. It's Mark Cuban, I think. And then people just like, no, give me time to get more. But thankfully we're not totally down in the dumps just yet. And basically, like, we do have things coming up. Sadly, we're really struggling to just show people. And I was joking you with Thomas saying, I love the way you think I removed my liquidity. I wasn't providing any liquidity. Yeah. And then here is when like Zemo said, when you can't you see Wax liquidity change. And I was like, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, this was all like a little bit of a nice like joke around something that like a lot of people are quite upset about. And like if you have a look at the price, like it's just not been inspiring, right? Like if you go on the 1 day, this has been pretty much flat, like on US dollar terms. Like we've been in this range basically between like $34 and about like $25 pretty much on the downside, and just kind of bouncing between that range. And right at the the Bitcoin ETF approval, we went up to 39, and I really thought that was going to be kind of like breaking out of this area, but sadly it's not proven to be the case. And then it's just kind of been down bad since then as well. So it's quite like it's quite disheartening, right? Like people, I think, have just they've been hit over and over again with that ratio going down. And like, of course, you have to compare this to the ETH price, which on that same chart has been going kind of like up only, pretty much up and to the right. And that I think is really impacting the ratio, and that is impacting people's psyche and like mental health. And I hope you're all okay. It's not a fun time out there right now, and I totally get that. Okay, so what are we going to do, right? Like, we're trying to fix it. Like, we're not just sitting on our hands and just watching this happen. Rocket Pool as a community, as a team, we're all kind of working together. We've got these really great things coming up in the next few months, in the next year, and that we are working on stuff. So already we've started like seeing Jasper, and Jasper like deserves a huge like load of credit for this. Like just for Jasper just for being Jasper. Like it's really understated just how important having Jasper as one person is. Like Jasper's the bridge between the Rocket Pool community and the wider crypto community on Twitter, and I guess even on Barcaster now to some extent, but more so on Twitter. Like Jasper is such a great bridge from getting the information that's happening in the community and kind of like drip feeding it out, so people kind of get exposed to those ideas, and hopefully can build up some perspectives and like a positive sentiment around Rocket Pool. So like today Jasper asked this question. I said, what is holding you back from being a Rocket Pool node operator? So he's asked like these kind of like, he's talked about new tokenomics ideas a few times, and he's kind of talked about the changes that are happening behind the scenes. And this is what he's doing really great, is like he's kind of feeding people this idea that soon you'll be in a position where it might be if the community decides, you'll be able to stake with Rocket Pool without having any RPL. And of course, I've talked about this on Rocket Fuel so many times, and like how this is actually going to work out so well for RPL holders, and how it's going to be like a really huge boost. But Jasper, by saying this here, he's like, it's really, really interesting that he's putting this idea into people's minds. So like he put a poll on Twitter today. He said, what holds you back from being a Rocket Pool node operator? Like 172 people responded to this. 182 people, responded to this. Let me refresh this. Yes, it's the same. So for 37.9% of people, they're saying that they don't want the RPL requirement, right? And then 6% of people, 6.5%, 7% of people are saying that there's not enough yield. 15% of people said other, and 40% of people responding to this are already Rocket Pool node operators or just wanted to see the results. So when you remove that 40%, this is like a huge, massive, like, 70% of people basically saying that they don't want to stake with Rocket Pool because of the RPL requirement. So this is just getting the idea into people's minds. Like, you know, in his replies, he's saying this as well. Like, you know, for example, here we have Lofoli, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry, Lofe, saying, I don't want to run a node, I want to stake ETH, I do, and stake RPL, I can't. Utility for RPL is missing, I want to stake it itself into some pool, which gives you rewards, can't. And Jasper says that's a good answer. This would also be part of the tokenomics proposals. So this is, you know, having the RPL only pool that will give you access to ETH rewards, which is one of the ideas that, of course, it's not been decided, but then that's an option. Here, Mark Zeller, who, you know, like Mark Zeller, amazing guy, said, I can't say because I deployed 2 new mini pools today. So good job, Mark. I replied by saying my man with the heart emoji. And then Kira says it's number 1, you know, the RPL requirement. He says if it was pure ETH, I think RPL would have been worth more because it would have created tens of thousands of validators, thus creating strong fundamentals like Lido, you know. So then Jasper replied by saying, in the new tokenomics, if there are many ETH-only stakers, then rewards for RPL stakers will be huge. Commission will get paid to the RPL stakers much better than Lido. So basically, the Lido token itself is just a governance token. It's worthless because the distribution of the token is such that the whales can pass any vote they want. So, and there's no, you know, fee sharing mechanism or anything like that. So the RPL token would be way superior, right? And if it can grow market share under the new system, then that is going to be huge. I replied by saying the new tokenomics are going to change the game. 0x Chimper said RPL for me. I don't want to hold and keep buying a down only token in the bear just to earn yields. Here Chase says that they're solo home staker. So some of the tokenomics, the way the things are working, it looks like, you know, staking with Rocket Pool might end up being twice as profitable than being a solo home staker on some permutations on some of the you know, new proposals. And then with Crypto Horse was saying, you know, why aren't people moving from 16 to 8? And of course that's going to happen more and more in the coming weeks because of the rewards changes that we voted in RPIP 30. And then Reformed Raccoon says, I think the RPL requirement limits the size of any node operator's commitment. It's like you have to pay the RPL bag holders for permission to decentralize Ethereum staking. So it seems like more and more people are saying that there would potentially be staking with Rocket Pool if it wasn't for the fact that you know, they needed RPL. So I think this is going to be really, really interesting because you know, as we've said, and as I said on the show a few times, right, like the amount of new node operators we need isn't that high. Like if we doubled the amount of node operator ETH that we have, like, you know, from about 250,000 or something like that, whatever it is, up to 500,000, or not even 500,000, even up to like 350 or 400,000, the amount of ETH that would let us bring in under the new tokenomics, you know, with LEB 1.5s would be astronomical, like truly huge, like millions of our ETH, you know, we could have, and the TVL of the protocol would grow massively. The main thing is, you know, this is a really hard period now that we have to ride out. But once the new tokenomics changes go into place, then the worry will be like, you know, how do we incentivize people to get our ETH, right? And the great thing about our ETH is that there's so many DeFi integrations. It's accepted everywhere. You know, you can use it for leverage, you can use it for loans, you can use it as collateral for other stuff. You can use it with liquidity in DeFi, go through the IMC, paying money for that. I think what will happen is, you know, those relationships will get stronger over the coming year for our ETH, so much so that by the time we get the new tokenomics, you know, we can really ramp up the our ETH minting and just show people how great a token it is and how well it can be used, you know, in every way. And that will be the big thing that we'll have to worry about. We won't have to worry about more node operators coming online, you know, because with just the node operators we already have, we could potentially have millions of ETH, you know, TVL, more than we have now. But with the RETH minting, that's going to be the big task that comes up. So, you know, I'm really, a huge shout out goes to Jasper for the tireless work that he does. And you have to consider that he's in med school as well. So he's balancing med school with being like the biggest evangelist for Rocket Pool. And, you know, for that, I definitely he has my eternal gratitude and love. So This one's for you, Jasper. Okay, let's talk about the Starknet airdrop. I know I've been talking about this a lot, but it's quite a big deal, and I'll tell you why that's a big deal, right? So here, Langer says, "Hey everyone, this is a follow-up on the Starknet airdrop. We've been in contact with the Starknet support to support the airdrop to the Rocket Pool community. The Rocket Pool community has been allocated tokens in the Starknet airdrop, but the current claim process is incompatible due to the technical issue raised in the previous post. We are working with Starknet to adjust their process to allow Rocket Pool community to claim their tokens in the subsequent round." That's the disappointing part here, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. This may take some time to sort out as they're under pressure right now, sorting out the first round of claims. It says we'll stay on top of Starknet and communicate any news as it happens. This is actually really disappointing news, and basically what it means is now that Starknet are doing their round 1 that was released today that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but their round 2 of tokens, which they've already said before that there'll be a round 2 of distributions, kind of like how OP has done with OP mainnet, with the Optimism token. They've done it in batches as well, and what they've done is people who've been voting or staking, or not voting mostly, I think, or delegating their vote, they've gotten future rounds. So it might be that in 6 months' time, maybe even longer, sadly, they might do another round of airdrop, and that's when the Rocket Poolers might get a token allocation. Sadly, it's not looking good. Like, in all honesty, it's not looking good. And I don't want to spread FUD or anything, but they'll just have less and less incentives to, give Rocket Poolers tokens going forward. Like, they wanted the hype, right, of saying, oh, we're distributing to solo stakers and home operators pre-merge. So they got that nice little bit of publicity, but now they've already had that. So they don't have much incentive to spend dev time and like trying to figure out all the logistics of getting tokens to Rocket Poolers. Like, it's gone way down the list, basically. So it might end up being that, those mini pool addresses will have claims attached to them. And unless there's some way that, we as a community or as the developers could figure out a way to get the mini pools to sign transactions to claim the provisions, the airdrop, there's no way we're going to get it. So it's quite, I don't know, maybe I'm just being a little bit like pessimistic on this, but the fact that, we haven't got this sorted out now means that it might be many months before it gets done, if not even longer, sadly. So here, people were talking about some other issues that they've been seeing, like when they go to the provisions, some people are seeing they're getting 360 per mini pool, some people are saying they're getting 1,800 per mini pool, and it's a bit of a mess really about how many tokens people will be getting, and the whole thing it's still not fixed, basically. So rated network, they've edited the list. So it said this repo is home to rated solo staker filter for the Ethereum Beacon chain. In 2023, we set out to answer one of the most persistent unanswered questions in the Ethereum staking ecosystem: how many solo stakers are there? So what they've done is they've gone through this and they've updated the list and they've made it open source. So it says there are many valuable use cases we see we foresee the list serving, including as a filter for entry criteria for curated sets, a filter for airdrops, targeting one of the most engaged and competent groups of operators in the industry, and so on. So that's what they're doing here. So I guess maybe people can suggest changes and stuff as well going forward. So hopefully that issue won't happen anymore, but the issues happen now. So let's see what happens going forwards. And next, we had this person, Elias, from First Rater, co-founder and CEO of Rated Web. I'm not sure exactly what Rated Web is. Let me see what that is. Reputation for machines, starting from proof of stake validators. I guess it's something. Oh, this works for Rated.network. Sorry, yeah. So this person just explaining how they've added another 1,000 addresses that to the solo staker list, basically, and they've had a rough weekend, but they've been trying to get the work done. Now, this is the really disappointing part, right? So if you have a look at this chart, this is the Stark chart. So let's just remove that first candle and go forward from there. So right as trading started, basically, the price was around $4.30 on Binance, $4 per token. Now, if a person had 4 validators, for example, that was around 6,000 something, 7,000 tokens, basically, at 1,800 each. And that was worth $20,000, like for that one person. So if they were to dump at that point, they would have $20,000. But since then, the price has just kind of been going down badly. Now, there's a lot of people who've been criticizing Starknet and stuff about the way they've handled the airdrop. And there's a lot of negative sentiment around Starknet right now. But as you can see, like the price has gone down from like $4 plus down to around $2. And that seems to be a support right now. But that's not to say the price won't go back up later, of course, right? But this is the kind of situation where we're at, where rocket poolers could have potentially had $20,000, $5,000 per validator pretty much this morning, and now it's nothing. So it's a real shame that that's the situation, but sadly there's nothing we can do about it until Starknet go and fix it. Okay, next we got this post from Baldorf. He says, in order for RPIP 38 to go to vote, we need to finalize the RPIP and vote on the text. And he says the RPIP can be found here. We'll have a look at that in a second. It says, please provide feedback in this thread. And it says the vote text can be found here as well. And please provide feedback either in that same thread or using Google Docs comments directly. So this is the one, the EigenLayer bounty that the GMC approved and now is being challenged by the community. Patches is the one who wrote this. And this is, we've already talked about this on Rocket Fuel before, but basically there's going to be 2 votes, or one vote and then maybe a second vote, depending on what the result of the first vote is, like whether we should reject the bounty or whether we should pay the bounty or like limit the bounty. So you can go and read the vote text for that. And here's the whole text of the RPIP as well. Like this is going to be the vote text. So this is what you will see on Snapshot, like maybe next week or in a few days time. So if you do want to give any feedback to this RPIP itself and the vote itself, then definitely go and do that as soon as possible. And finally, we're going to finish today's episode with this update from Nimbus. And Nimbus here are saying that they have a new version out, which is version 24.2.1. And it says Nimbus is a medium urgency release that includes the full support for the upcoming Ethereum Mainnet Deneb hard fork. Will be executed on the 13th of March. The same support is also provided on Gnosis chain, where the hard fork will be executed on 11th of March. Other stability and performance improvements make this release a compelling upgrade for all Nimbus users. So this is what I've been telling you. We're going to be getting a lot of updates coming through for our clients over the next 3 weeks, which is when we'll be hard forking, and that's really exciting. So make sure your validators are up to date for that. Otherwise, you will split the chain. On that note, guys, I'm sorry for a lot of negativity today in today's episode. It's just that's kind of the stage we're at right now, and I'm really hoping that we can ride it out in the next few days. And we just need like one big green candle, and the sentiment will shift quite really quickly. But until we get that, sadly, we're stuck in this zone, and I hope you don't let it get you down too much. But if you do, lean on support. We're all here to help each other, and I hope everything's okay, and that you're all doing well. Anyway, thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I appreciate you all so much, especially Jasper, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.